on July 11th, 2022 at 8 a.m. to order. Unless there's an objection, seeing none, the meeting is called to order. Councilman Lambert, can you please lead us in the invocation and the pledge?
Yes. At this meeting, help us to make decisions which keep us faithful to our mission and reflect our values. Give us strength to hold to our purpose, wisdom to guide us, and a keen perception to lead us. And above all, keep us charitable as we deliberate. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, Mr. Vinicki.
Good morning,
I believe
Mayor.
you are the only things on our agenda this morning.
Can you see the presentation? Yay, cool. Let's see if it works. Still up there? Good. Mayor and Council, this is the second of 3 required public hearings by state law. Just for the public's information, not only did we have the 3 required hearings, basically we had 3 other town halls which addressed this. And I think if memory serves, we had 3 other separate council meetings in there. So this will end up being 9 opportunities for public comment on the budget. So as far as input, above and beyond the city has gone on this. Let's go a little bit through what's required on these. Today's purpose is because the millage rate was not rolled back, we are required to have 3 public hearings on it. Whether or not we were moving to 3.04 or keeping it 2.74, we would still have to have the 3 hearings. Property tax is the only tax source where public hearings are required. On income tax, if your income goes up and you pay more income tax, you are not required to have public hearings. On sales tax, as sales goes up, you're not required to have public hearings on increases in sales tax. Property tax is the only state tax where this hearing is required. The city of Dunwoody has proposed to increase their millage rate from 2.74 mils, which to be honest, for most homeowners is really 1.74 mils, raise it to 3.04 mils, which would still nominally, and you've got this backup in your packet for tonight, would still be nominally the lowest rate in DeKalb County for any city that levies it. We still have one city that's not levying. So in that case, even with this increase, Dunwoody would still be the lowest tax rate in the area. For a new home, and we use the $500,000 barometer here, we're looking at about a $57 increase a year. And then for those that are frozen, we're saying around a 42. So no matter what your houses in this area would see their first tax increase since incorporation, and that is a fact. However, for anyone that moved into the city since incorporation, or here is the first one, your taxes have never gone up in the entire history that you've lived here.
Just to clarify, that is strictly about municipal taxes. Just remember everyone gets one bill. So while you're doing the slide, just want to make sure that people understand that the county or the different county funds may have raised, as well as the school system.
The most obvious question with this is if the city is financially healthy, which Linda Neighbors, finance director, and myself do say that we're financially healthy, why is there a need of tax increase? And what has happened is that the ongoing revenues and the ongoing expenditures do not match. When the city was created, and if you look at the incorporation study that created it, it was envisioning a minimal police system and a minimal park system. And both those now are at a full-fledged city level. And in fact, with the opening of Brook Run and the purchase of 2 more properties, we have a crown jewel of a park system. The tax levies that were done, the 2.74 mils and the 1 mil exemption and the property tax freeze were not even taken into account during the Carl Vinson study. In fact, the Carl Vinson study indexes property tax for inflation. Therefore, it actually kind of says the freeze wouldn't exist. There are flaws in the study. There were assumptions made at that time, and current revenues and current expenditures do not meet. Could the city do something and not raise taxes? Yes, it would not increase services to the level that the citizens are looking at. This that you see on the chart are the 3 scenarios for what we've got for this year's budget. The one on the left is the original budget is passed. The middle one is one based off of 2.74 mils. And the third one is based off of 3.04 mils. To go from top to bottom, what you're seeing is the starting fund balance estimated 22.5 million, tax revenue, other revenues, expenses, and then the ending fund balance. And the ending fund balance is what we need to concentrate on. And at the bottom, there's two numbers to look for. Months reserved, which across these three are 7.91, 7.25, and 7.67. That number at minimum needs to be 4. So in that case, in all scenarios of doing this, we're still significantly above fund balance. Now, the city could also use fund balance to operate over the next 5 years. It's not recommended by staff, nor is it recommended by best practices. Ongoing revenues and ongoing expenditures should match. We have the certain thing where we've basically hotel motel, we're still suspect, even though those numbers have gone up. So we're still being conservative in all our projections. The last number you need to look at is the bottom one, and that's the structural deficit. When the budget was passed in last October, we were going to plan to use 4 million or 3.9 million of fund balance. Based upon new revenues, we're looking at 2.2, and this would switch it down to 1.1 million of fund balance, which is a very manageable part. If the city ever went to go get rated by a rating agency, the structural deficit and the use of fund balance would be one of the main categories it would look at. So the city always needs to be proactive in improving this. Next up is the short-term forecast, which is what the city council has started to do over the past basically 3 years. It started to look at doing a true 5-year funded CIP and also looking at operating forecast. Now, one of the things this does is it does very conservative revenues, and we'll agree with that. And this is also the beginning of the forecasting part of the city as it grows into what I call its adolescent stage. Basically, you need to make sure the green line stays above the blue line. That's your number of months reserved above the required reserve. If you take a look, this crosses in the 2025 area. We are fairly comfortable in the finance department and with city staff at still keeping this because we're very conservative in revenue. With this 3.04 increase, not only could we open certain parts as we go along, we could also do 4% raises and keep up with healthcare costs to keep ourselves competitive with our neighboring jurisdictions.
Again, I'm sorry, but you said the 3.04 increase. We're not increasing it by 3 mils. Just want to be clear that what we're saying. We've talked description of what we're doing. So the increase would be, what's the number?
0.3.
Thank you.
Let me get back on track. Okay, the real impact to homes, if you take a look here, your change is basically from $33 to $69 on there. It's basically minimal for any house. And again, you're one of the lowest as far as city rates in the area. Taking a look at your tax bill, as you can see, most of it is dedicated to the school system. Even with this change, the city portion would only be less than 5%. Driving the revenue change, even though we do have a growing tax digest, it has not been consistent throughout the city's history. We've had 3 or 4 years of a decrease in the digest. And in that case, we don't want to project 3 or 4%. We tend to project around 2%. And this year we came in at a 6% growth. So there is growth that's happening. It's just not dependable off of it. Your other revenue sources are pretty much stagnant and frozen. When we start looking at fines, they don't increase over time. When you start looking at things such as the smaller tax amounts, they don't tend to increase. This again shows your increase year over year for your digest, positive and negative. As you can tell, there was 3 years where it went down for various reasons. This is kind of like one that we're starting to show that because property and residential taxes are frozen, the share of the tax burden has fallen to commercial properties, and we get much more from commercial than we do from residential. So what's the main goal? The main goal of raising the millage cap is to make sure that over the next raise to the millage cap, do the next 5 years, so we can make it, and to make sure that since property taxes are frozen, we've adjusted it as we can with a cap that was instituted by the city leaders. And with that, I'll open the floor for public comment.
So I need to open the public hearing. Is there any objection to opening the public hearing? Seeing none, the public hearing is opened. And now we need to have public comment. We'll have 10 minutes against and 10 minutes for, correct? And so we will start with 10 minutes for the millage rate increase. And if you could just step up and introduce yourself, please.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Robert Wittenstein, 1146 Bordeaux Court. I'm here to encourage you to go ahead and raise the millage rate. But I'm also going to suggest something that you already know, which is that the real crux of the problem here is the assessment freeze for residential properties. And so I'm also going to suggest that one of the things you make a priority of is to talk to the state legislature about sunsetting that over the next 5 years and get an item onto the November ballot, either this year or next year, that gradually over the next 5 years sunsets that freeze. That's the real crux of the problem. And as long as that exists, you're going to continue to have this structural problem. So by all means, go ahead, increase the millage rate, but particularly in an environment where inflation is rising faster, right? We got a real breather for a number of years there where inflation was so small that it didn't really increase our expenses that much from year to year. Those days are gone. And so now this increase to 3.04 is not going to hold us for very long. And the real issue is that we gotta get our tax digest producing the taxes that will support the residents who are using the services. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak for this change in the millage rate? And just step up and introduce yourself, please.
Good morning, City Council. My name is Ali. I will first start by thanking you for getting up here this morning, for getting you guys this morning, 8 a.m. Monday morning. For getting here at 8 a.m. Monday morning. So thank you for that. Second, I actually back up everything Robert say, and I think he makes some excellent points. I do want to encourage City Council to increase the millage rate. When it comes down to it in the simplest form, I do trust City Council and the people who work in the offices here that if you're requesting or if you're suggesting any type of millage rate increase, I am sure you've done due diligence. I'm sure that it is necessary. I'm sure it is the right decision. So based on trust, I would move forward with saying we should increase the millage rate. I did do my own kind of open records request. I have looked in a little bit into the Dunwoody checkbook. I've looked into the reserve funds. I do agree, especially in our environment with inflation, we kind of need to stay ahead of it. So I'm perfectly fine with it. I did run the numbers as well, and it is accurate. I mean, it comes down to like a cup of coffee from Starbucks a month to be able to improve our quality of life. If the money is going towards police departments, if the money is going towards parks, I can't see how anyone could really object about that. I think a lot of people really just want to make sure the money is used correctly. I trust that you guys will be. I haven't seen any giant Escalades lining up the front parking lot, but I did see a bunch of new police cruisers. So we already know that the money is generally being used correctly. I do want to encourage that, you know, if this extra revenue comes in, that we strongly look into possibly allocating a lot of those funds into the police department. I've done a lot of research into our neighboring cities, and they have kind of been very proactive with this. They've thrown a lot of money at their police departments, and the biggest fear, as I've spoken to in other city council members, city council meetings, and I will in the future again, is ideally looking at just making sure we stay competitive, we stay safe as a city, that we continue growing as a city. Just as individuals would save more money in this environment, I think it makes all the sense for the city to do so as well. So I support this decision. I encourage this decision. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Is there any other public comment? Seeing none, unless there's an objection, I close this public hearing. Seeing no objection, the public hearing is closed. And now it's council and us, if we have any questions or comments for Jay. Anybody? No. I just want to clarify that we have police salaries on the agenda tonight, correct, Mr. Vinicky?
That is correct.
Right. So great. Anybody else? Seeing none, then I need a motion for adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
Moved by Rob.
Second.
Second by Tom. Any objections? Seeing none, the motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned. See you tonight.